This is the Friends and Fable app, which you can get directly from the website friendsandfable.com. Now we are going to do a new adventure, create a new character for it. Yes, this uses AI. Hell, I found myself arguing with with Franz, the name of the AI DM, more than one fucking time. Alright. Let's get this going. These are pre-made characters. These are characters that I've already made, but I am not going to be making any. These are characters you can choose, but we are going to make our own. You can fill all of this in if you want, or you can do just in case. This fucking queso. You know what? Yeah. Let's fucking do this. Hang on. Let me turn this on. That as well. Let's check her out. Damn it, I fucking hit the N. M, not the N. That's...
Tavia's smile softens into something more genuine, and she nods.
Reggie, then. Good to meet you. I'm Tavia, and a wise choice, my friend. No need to poke a sleeping owlbear, or in this case, a pack of half-drunk bandits.
She turns, her movements fluid and quiet, already stepping off the main road. The golden light of the path quickly gives way to the dappled shadows of the forest floor. Tavia gestures with her hand for you to follow, her eyes scanning the undergrowth for the faint signs of the trail she mentioned.
Keep your steps light.
She whispers, her voice barely audible above the rustle of leaves.
This path isn't well worn, but it's still known. We don't want to draw any more attention than the inn already is.
You follow her deeper into the trees. The air grows cooler here, heavy with the scent of damp earth, distant, acrid tang of wood smoke. After a few minutes of quiet movement, the faint sound of rough voices and clanking metal drifts through the trees, growing louder for a moment, then fading as Tavia leads you on a winding course. Through a break in the foliage, you catch a glimpse of the lantern rest inn, a crooked, sagging building with a few dim, flickering lights. You see the hulking shadow of a half-orc near the main door, his massive frame outlined against a faint glow, and a smaller, wiry figure perched precariously on a window ledge. The sounds of raucous laughter and a shouted argument briefly cut through the evening air before you move past the clearing, and the forest swallows them once more. Tavia moves with practiced ease, occasionally glancing back to ensure you're keeping up. The trail is indeed faint, just a subtle depression in the leaves, but she navigates it as if it were a paved road. After what feels like a short eternity of quiet rustling and soft footsteps, the trees begin to thin again. Ahead, you can see the main road, now seemingly empty and clear, stretching out toward the distant, shimmering outline of Odrun Fell. Tavia steps out onto the road, brushing a few leaves from her shoulders, and turns to you with a satisfied grin.
See, told you, clear as a bell.
She looks back towards the concealed path for a moment, then forward to the city.
Now, Odrun Fell awaits. Any particular part of the city you're aiming for, or just generally making for the gate?
Fuck you. God fucking damn it.
The declaration hangs in the air, barely out of your mouth, before a sharp, furious voice cuts through the twilight, echoing your name. IGGI OIMINAL. You get back here, you greasy worm. Tavia's head snaps around, her eyes widening as she spots the source. A formidable, muscular human woman, her strides long and powerful, closing the distance with alarming speed. Her face is a mask of pure, unadulterated rage, and she clutches a heavy-looking, well-used frying pan in one hand.
Oh my.
Tavia murmurs, a flicker of bewildered amusement and concern crossing her features. Your desperate scramble to escape is cut short as your foot catches on an unforgiving stone hidden in the dusty road. With a yelp, your considerable bulk lurches forward, and you tumble, landing with a grunt in a cloud of dust and a clatter of ill-fitting armor. Your giant knife and fork bounce precariously near your head. The woman's heavy footsteps pound closer, growing louder with every frantic beat of your heart.
God damn it.
Carla's powerful strides eat up the last few feet between you and her. Her face, contorted with a fury that seems to burn brighter than the setting sun, looms over you. She pays no mind to your pleas, her grip tightening on the heavy frying pan. It gleams ominously in the fading light, a promise of pain. Stop, stop! After you sold my grandmother's prized griffin feather collection for a barrel of fermented goblin piss, Reggie. After you gambled away my life savings on a three-legged displacer beast in a dog fight. She raises the frying pan, its shadow falling over your prone form like a death shroud. Her voice, though still laced with rage, drops to a dangerous, low snarl. You aren't crawling anywhere, but back to me, you spineless slug. Beside you, Tavia takes a half step back, her eyes wide with a mixture of disbelief and a flicker of something akin to morbid fascination. She doesn't intervene, but her hand instinctively drifts to the hilt of the long knife at her hip, her gaze darting between the enraged Carla and your desperate, flailing form. The gate of Tines, now tantalizingly close, seems to mock your struggle. jaw clenching so hard you can practically hear her teeth grind. The mention of bait and food seems to ignite a fresh spark of fury rather than extinguish the existing flame. She doesn't hesitate, her arm drawing back.
Bait, that's your excuse, Reggie. You think I don't know your little tricks. Every time you get yourself into a mess, there's always a convenient bait, or a hungry goblin, or a misplaced magic scroll.
The frying pan whistles through the air, a blur of cast iron aimed not directly at you, but just beside your head, striking the ground with a sickening thud that sends dust and pebbles scattering. The force of the blow vibrates through the earth. Tavia flinches, then lets out a low, almost imperceptible whistle through her teeth. She takes another small step back, her hand still resting on a knife, her gaze now flicking between the enraged Carla and the distant, stoic figures of the gate guards, who remain unmoving, perhaps too far to truly discern the domestic drama unfolding on the road. Carla looms over you, breathing heavily, the frying pan now resting on her hip like a weapon. She's simply taking a moment to reload.
Get up, Reggie, we're going back. And this time you're not getting away.
Despite your frantic protests and clumsy attempts to resist, Carla's grip is unyielding. She hauls you back down the road, her furious strides eating up the distance with relentless determination. The long journey passes in a blur of indignity, the setting sun giving way to a starlit night as you are pulled further and further from the gate of Times and the relative freedom of the open road. Tavia, wisely, does not follow, her form receding into the twilight as Carla drags you away. After what feels like an eternity of being jostled and shamed, the dusty road gives way to a more refined, cobbled path. The air grows clearer, smelling less of earth and more of cultivated gardens and polished stone. Looming before you is a medium-sized estate, nestled against the jagged slope of Mount Velspire. Unlike the rugged, chitin-reinforced structures of Odrand-Fell's main districts, this place speaks of old money and quiet power. High, smooth stone walls encircle well-tended grounds, and the main house is a sprawling structure of dark wood and gleaming, unblemished glass, with soft, warm light spilling from its many windows. It feels strangely out of place, detached from the city's grimy, industrious heart. Carla hauls you through a side gate, which creaks open and then clangs shut behind you. The manicured garden paths lead directly to the back of the house. As she yanks you up a few stone steps and shoves open a heavy back door, the warm, herb-scented air of a kitchen washes over you. Inside, a woman with sharp, intelligent eyes and a long, braided dark hair, whom you know as Bait, looks up from a bubbling pot on a large hearth. Beside her, a smaller, perpetually grumpy-looking woman with grease-stained hands and a smudged leather apron, Jonah, is sharpening a cleaver on a whetstone, her eyes narrowing as she sees you. Carla shoves you further into the kitchen, releasing your arm with a final, disgusted push that sends you stumbling forward. The frying pan, still in her hand, clangs against the stone floor as she slams it down.
He's here, and he's still lying about Bait.
Carla announces, her voice strained with lingering fury, gesturing to you with the frying pan.
Told me it was you who bribed him with food to take the blame for the griffin feathers.
Yeah, I can't spell worth a damn.
The words tumble from your mouth, a desperate plea for innocence, accompanied by a dramatic oath. As you speak, your eyes dart to Bait, and indeed, a slow, knowing smile spreads across her face. It's a smile that doesn't reach her sharp, intelligent eyes, which remain fixed on you with an unnerving calm, almost as if she's enjoying the spectacle. She pushes a stray strand of her long, braided dark hair behind her ear, her movements deliberate and unhurried. The bubbling pot on the hearth continues its gentle murmur, the only sound breaking the tense silence for a moment before Bait finally speaks. "Oh, Reggie," Bait says, her voice smooth and laced with a feigned sympathy that makes it sound even She glances at Carla, then back at you, her smile widening just slightly. Always the storyteller, aren't we? Such a vivid imagination. And here I thought you were finally going to take responsibility for once. She lets out a soft, almost pitying sigh. Bribed you with food. Reggie, darling, you take the blame for a dragon's hoard if there was a particularly succulent roast involved. We all know how much you love to eat. Beside her, Jonah grunts, the rhythmic shink-shink of her cleaver against the whetstone momentarily ceasing. Her small, perpetually grumpy eyes flick from bait to you, a knowing, weary look on her face, as if she's seen this exact scenario play out 100 times before. Carla, meanwhile, lets out a frustrated growl, her grip tightening on the frying pan once more. The accusation of bait's deceit seems to have bounced off her like a well-aimed rock off a stone wall.
I'll be right back.
desperate plea hangs in the air, thick with the scent of simmering herbs and Reggie's own nervous sweat. Bates' smile falters for a fraction of a second, her sharp eyes flicking from Reggie to the mention of her desk. It's barely perceptible, a ripple across her composed facade, but it's there. Then, just as quickly, it smooths out, replaced by an expression of weary exasperation. She sets down the wooden spoon she was holding, wiping her hands on a clean linen cloth with deliberate slowness. Her gaze, when it returns to you, is one of pity mixed with a touch of condescension.
My dear Reggie, you truly are incorrigible.
Bates says, her voice still smooth, but with an edge of steel now. She shakes her head, a faint, almost regretful sigh escaping her lips.
A secret drawer in my study, and what, pray tell, would be in this fantastical drawer? A confession signed in dragon's blood, a map to the lost city of lies, perhaps.
She gestures dismissively with the cloth.
It's late, Reggie. You've had a long day of evading responsibility. I think your imagination is running wild. There's nothing of the sort in my desk. Just ledgers, research notes, and perhaps a half-finished embroidery project. Certainly nothing that would prove your latest, most elaborate tale.
Her gaze hardens slightly.
And as for a year of servitude, you've promised that before, haven't you? I believe the last time it involved a particularly pungent cheese wheel and a promise to clean the stables.
Carla, who had been listening with a scowl, lets out a harsh, disbelieving laugh. The sound is more bark than mirth.
See, I told you, Bate, he's full of it. Always another wild story, another person to blame.
She points the frying pan at you, then at Bate.
He's just trying to wriggle out of it again. We're not falling for it this time, Reggie.
Jonah, who had resumed her cleaver sharpening, merely grunts, a low, rumbling sound in her chest. She doesn't look up, but the shink-shink of the blade seems to carry a heavy dose of agreement with Bates' assessment. The air in the kitchen, once warm and inviting, now feels charged with an undeniable collective skepticism. You scramble over to the ornate desk positioned against the far wall of the room, near the large, comfortable bed. Your fingers, despite their urgency, find the hidden catch you mentioned. With a soft click, a narrow, cleverly concealed drawer slides out from beneath the main tabletop. Inside, nestled amongst a few innocuous-looking scrolls and a quill, is a small, leather-bound ledger. Its cover is unadorned, but it feels heavy with secrets. Beside it, tucked into a velvet pouch, are a handful of unmistakable griffin feathers, long, iridescent, and shimmering with an ethereal glow that could only belong to Carla's grandmother's legendary collection. They are far too distinctive to be anything else. You snatch them out, holding them aloft for Carla to see. Carla, who had followed you into the room, stands frozen. Her eyes, still blazing with fury moments ago, fix on the ledger and the feathers in your hand. The heavy frying pan, which she still clutches, slowly lowers until its head rests on the polished wooden floor with a soft thud. Her jaw, previously set in a rigid line of anger, slackens. A flicker of confusion, then dawning horror, crosses her face as she stares at the undeniable proof. The colour drains from her cheeks, leaving her looking pale and utterly stunned. The air in the private chamber, previously thick with your desperate pleas, is now filled with a sudden, profound silence, broken only by the distant, faint sounds from the kitchen. The silence in Bates' private chamber stretches, thick with Carla's stunned disbelief. The griffin feathers, undeniable in their origin, and the ledger, heavy with its implications, are undeniable proof. Back in the kitchen, the rhythmic shink-shink of Jonah's cleaver against the whetstone continues, a mundane counterpoint to the sudden, profound quiet from the other room. Bate, who had just dismissed Reggie's claims with such confident disdain, pauses. Her head tilts ever so slightly, listening. The heated argument, the shouts, the accusations, they had been a constant hum in the background. Now there is only the distant, heavy silence. A faint line appears between Bates' brows. Her sharp eyes, which had been so dismissive moments ago, narrow almost imperceptibly. She glances at Jonah, who merely grunts, still focused on a blade, but there's a subtle shift in the air, a tension that even Jonah seems to acknowledge. Then, from the direction of Bates' room, a sound carries, a sharp, indrawn breath, followed by the unmistakable sound of Carla's heavy, purposeful footsteps, no longer fueled by rage, but by something far more dangerous. A cold, dawning realization. The footsteps grow louder, closer, echoing down the hallway. Bates' serene expression cracks. Her lips press into a thin line, and her eyes, for the first time, show a flicker of genuine alarm. She quickly turns back to the simmering pot, stirring with unnecessary vigor, as if suddenly engrossed in a culinary task, but her posture is rigid, her back stiff. Moments later, Carla bursts back into the kitchen, her face a mask of furious betrayal. The frying pan is no longer a weapon of bluster, but a silent, heavy weight in her hand. Her gaze, cold and hard as flint, goes straight to Bate.
Bate.
Carla's voice is low, devoid of its previous bluster, yet far more chilling. She doesn't shout. She doesn't threaten. She simply speaks Bates' name, and it hangs in the air like a pronouncement of doom. Her eyes are fixed on Bates' back, then slowly drift to the closed door of Bates' room, and back again. The implication is clear.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. But see if we can get this better. Yeah, perfect. When you just say fourth or fourth woman.
As you attempt to make a discreet exit, a slender, elegant figure steps out from the shadows near the door, blocking your path. Gwendolyn, an elf woman with piercing green eyes and shoulder-length, raven-black hair, regards you with a stern expression. Her grip is firm, but not unkind. She seizes your arm, her long fingers wrapping around your wrist like a vice. No, Reggie, you're not going anywhere. Gwendolyn says, her voice low and melodious, yet unyielding. Her eyes, fixed on yours, seem to bore into your very soul, making it clear that she will not be swayed by your protests. The kitchen, once a warm and inviting space, now feels oppressive. The silence between them has weight, like diving underwater. Carla's confrontation with Bait has reached a boiling point, the silence between them heavy with unspoken threats. Bait, still standing by the hearth, her back to Carla, seems to be waiting, her posture tense, anticipating the explosion that is about to come. Jonah, who had been quietly observing from the sidelines, now steps forward, her eyes flicking from Gwendolyn to you, then to Carla and Bait. Her expression is a mix of curiosity and wariness, her hands resting on the counter, ready to intervene if necessary. The atmosphere in the kitchen is charged, the sense of impending conflict palpable. What do you do next?
Beth, Carla, Gwendolyn, John. Yeah, that's 4. God, fuck. God damn it, no. Come on. I fucking hate that.
You struggle against Gwendolyn's surprisingly firm grip, your mind racing, anticipating the inevitable explosion of Carla's fury and the quiet, cutting judgment of Bait. Your pleas for release fall on deaf ears, Gwendolyn's green eyes holding a resolve that brooks no argument. She simply holds you unmoving as the tension in the kitchen builds to an unbearable crescendo. Just as you brace yourself for the storm, a sudden, unexpected rustling sound comes from above the doorway leading into the kitchen. With a flourish, a long, brightly coloured banner unrolls, unfurling to reveal bold, painted letters. It's a riot of blues, golds and reds, decorated with crude but jovial drawings drawings of overflowing food platters, and a comically rotund figure that bears a striking resemblance to yourself. Before you can even fully process the sight, a chorus of voices, surprisingly in unison, rings out through the tense silence.
Happy birthday, Reggie.
Carla's voice, though still gruff, now holds a hint of strained amusement, a stark contrast to her earlier rage.
Indeed, a very happy birthday, Reggie.
Bate adds, her previous exasperation replaced by a serene, almost triumphant smile.
HMPH, another year.
Jonah mutters, a faint, almost imperceptible curve to her lips, a rare sight. Even Gwendolyn, still holding your arm, offers a small, knowing smile. Happy birthday, Reggie. Did you truly think we'd forgotten? The griffin feathers and the ledger, still clutched in your hand, suddenly feel absurdly out of place amidst the festive banner and the unexpected well-wishes. The air, which had been thick with accusation and impending doom, is now filled with the bewildering scent of celebration. The frying pan in Carla's hand seems less like a weapon and more like a prop in a bizarre, elaborate play. You stand there, utterly dumbfounded, the words, "What but I don't understand I am," tumbling from your lips.
Hang on.
The colourful banner sways gently above, a stark contrast to the lingering tension that had filled the kitchen moments before. You stand there, dumbfounded, the griffin feathers and the ledger still clutched in your hand, feeling utterly ridiculous. The sudden shift from furious accusation to a chorus of happy birthday has left you reeling, your mind struggling to reconcile the two realities. Carla, her frying pan now resting casually against her leg, lets out a short, exasperated sigh that still carries a hint of residual annoyance, though now it's laced with a strange affection.
Oh, Reggie.
She says, shaking her head.
Torture, it was a test. We needed to know if you'd finally take responsibility for something, anything, for once in your life. And you did. You actually went to find proof instead of just running away again. That's progress for you.
She glances at the feathers in your hand, a small, almost fond smile touching her lips.
And the griffin feathers. My grandmother's collection was stolen, yes, years ago, but not by you, you oaf. That was just the bait. We knew you'd fall for it.
Bate steps forward, her serene smile fully returned, radiating an almost unsettling calm.
Indeed, Reggie, we've been planning this for weeks. The griffin feathers were merely a highly effective motivator. We needed to see if you possessed the wits and determination to truly clear your name, rather than simply deflect blame. And you did. You went to great lengths, even if those lengths involved a rather dramatic flight across the city.
She gestures, vaguely, towards the hidden drawer in her room.
The ledger, however, is quite real and quite incriminating, but not against you. Consider it a bonus, a little birthday gift from your friends.
Her eyes sparkle with a mischievous glint. Jonah grunts again, a sound that for once seems less like disapproval and more like weary amusement. She even manages a small, almost imperceptible smile.
You're hopeless, Reggie, but you're our hopeless.
Gwendolyn finally releases your arm, her grip softening into a gentle pat on your shoulder. As for why we are around you, Reggie, she says, her voice still melodious. Perhaps it is because you are exactly what you are, and sometimes that is precisely what is needed. Happy birthday, Reggie. The air is no longer charged with anger, but with a strange mix of relief, exasperation, and genuine, if somewhat twisted, affection. The kitchen is now truly ready for a celebration, with a large, steaming roast visible on the counter and a freshly baked cake cooling nearby. You stand amidst it all, the accusations and the chase now revealed as an elaborate, 2-month-long birthday prank. her arms around your neck, pulling you into a surprisingly strong embrace. The cleaver, forgotten for the moment, rests on the counter.
That's right, you are ours, you big fat oaf.
She says, her voice a low rumble, but undeniably fond. Carla watches the exchange, her initial exasperation at your complaints slowly melting into a look of amused exasperation. She crosses her arms, the frying pan still dangling from one hand, now looking less like a weapon and more like a very heavy accessory. A small, knowing smirk plays on her lips as she catches your eye.
Oh, don't play the victim, Reggie.
Carla says, her voice softer than it had been all day, though still with that underlying bite. She gestures with the frying pan towards the banner.
You think we'd go through all that trouble, the chase, the accusations, the acting, just to torture you? We're celebrating you, you big lump, and honestly.
She adds, a dry chuckle escaping her.
If you want a nice wife, maybe stop trying to sell off family heirlooms and blaming it on mythical creatures. Or, you know, bait.
She shakes her head, a genuine, if weary, smile on her face.
Now, are you going to stand there whining about your supposed tormentors? Or are you going to come enjoy the feast we prepared for your special day? Because I assure you, Reggie, there's enough food here to make you forget all about your torture.
Carla gestures grandly towards the laden table, the aroma of roast and freshly baked bread filling the air, a tempting counterpoint to your lingering confusion. A wide, relieved smile spreads across Carla's face as you finally concede. The tension that had coiled in her shoulders for the past 2 months seems to visibly slacken. She gives a satisfied nod, the frying pan clanking softly against her leg as she shifts her weight.
That's more like it, Reggie.
Carla says, her voice still a little gruff, but now tinged with genuine warmth. She turns and strides towards the large wooden table, already laden with food. Jonah releases you from her embrace, giving you a final, gentle push towards the spread, a look of quiet contentment on her face. Bate, ever the gracious host, gestures elegantly towards a seat at the head of the table.
Come, Reggie, don't let it get cold. We've gone to considerable effort to ensure your special day is memorable.
Her eyes twinkle with that familiar, mischievous glint. Gwendolyn moves to light a few more candles around the room, casting a soft, golden glow over the feast. The aroma of roasted meats, fresh herbs, and warm, yeasty bread fills the air, banishing any lingering scent of fear or accusation. The table groans under the weight of a succulent roast, bowls of steaming vegetables, a rich, savory stew, and a towering, frosted cake adorned with fresh berries. It's a spread fit for a king, or at least a very hungry Reggie. Carla pulls out a chair with a flourish, her gaze expectant, a silent invitation to finally partake in the celebration that had been so elaborately and tortuously planned.
Okay.